The Veneti people were an important population of the ancient world who lived in northern Italy, between the Adriatic coast and the southern foothills of the Alps. Ancient sources refer to them as the Veneti or Eneti, and their territory corresponds largely to the region now known as Veneto. Their settlements were concentrated between the Adige River and the Piave River, especially around important centres such as Padua, Este, and Altinum. Ancient historians describe the Veneti as one of the native peoples of Italy, although their origins were debated even in antiquity. Some writers believed that the Veneti were descended from migrants who came from Anatolia after the Trojan War. According to ancient tradition, the origins of the Veneti were connected with the Trojan War. Several classical authors wrote that after the fall of Troy, groups of the Veneti people from Anatolia migrated westward across the sea. These migrants were said to have been led by Antenor, a Trojan prince who escaped from the destruction of Troy. According to this story, Antenor and his followers settled along the Adriatic coast and founded a new people who became known as the Veneti. Roman historians repeated this tradition as an explanation for the origins of the Veneti, although modern scholars generally consider the story to be largely legendary. The Veneti were well known in antiquity for their skill in horse breeding. Ancient writers described Venetic horses as strong, fast, and reliable. These animals were used in warfare as well as in racing and ceremonial displays. Among the Veneti, horse ownership was a symbol of wealth and social prestige. Archaeological discoveries of horse equipment and decorated harnesses in Venetic graves confirm the importance of horses in their society. The territory of the Veneti was well positioned for long-distance trade. Routes connected the Adriatic coast with the interior of Italy and the Alpine regions. Venetic merchants maintained contacts across the Adriatic Sea with the Balkans and the wider Mediterranean world. They also traded across the Alps with Central Europe. One of the most important commodities was amber, which travelled from the Baltic region through Venetic lands before reaching Mediterranean markets. This trade helped to increase the wealth and influence of the Veneti. Venetic society was organised around tribes and aristocratic families. The upper class consisted of wealthy landowners and warrior elites who controlled local communities. These leaders served as both political authorities and military commanders. The Veneti did not form a single centralized kingdom, but instead lived in a network of related communities that sometimes cooperated with one another. This structure distinguished them from the organized city-states of the Greek world. The Veneti lived between powerful neighboring peoples. To the south were the Etruscans, who controlled important cities and trade networks. From the west came Celtic tribes, which gradually settled in parts of the Po Valley. The Veneti maintained trade relations with these neighbours, but also faced occasional conflicts. Despite these pressures, the Veneti preserved their independence for many centuries, which suggests that they were a stable and resilient society. The language of the Veneti is known as the Venetic language, which belonged to the Indo-European language family and shared some similarities with Latin. Venetic inscriptions were written using a script derived from the Etruscan alphabet. Most surviving texts are short inscriptions containing personal names or religious dedications. These inscriptions demonstrate that the Veneti were a literate and culturally developed society. Religion among the Veneti was closely connected with nature and sacred places. One of their most important deities was the goddess Rhaetia, who was associated with writing, healing, and religious offerings. A major sanctuary dedicated to Rhaetia existed at Este, where worshippers left bronze objects and inscribed tablets as offerings. These practices formed an important part of Venetic religious life. The Veneti established early friendly relations with Rome. As the Roman Republic expanded into northern Italy, the Veneti often cooperated with Roman forces. In particular, they supported Rome in struggles against Celtic tribes. This alliance allowed the Veneti to maintain stability and avoid destruction during Rome's expansion. Roman colonies and roads were later established in Venetic territory, gradually integrating the region into the Roman world. During the Roman period, the Veneti became increasingly Romanized. Latin spread throughout the region, and the Venetic language gradually disappeared. Venetic towns developed into Roman-style cities. Places such as Padua and Aquileia became important urban centers under Roman rule. The Veneti eventually received Roman citizenship and served in the Roman army. The Veneti were one of the important but often overlooked peoples of the ancient world. They were remembered as a people connected with Trojan legends, active in Adriatic trade and closely allied with Rome. Venetic culture combined older Italian traditions with influences from the Mediterranean world.